HODL the Bitcoin.
Hello everyone, Ben with the BTC Sessions here. We've got some rapid fire news for you. I'm going to go down the line with my couple guests. They'll give you a quick introduction of themselves, and then we will dive into the topic at hand. Kevin, let's let you dive in and introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, I'm Kevin from Bitcoin for Beginners, creating content for beginners to get educated and started in the space. You can find us on YouTube and also on bitcoinforbeginners.io.
Awesome. And Jason, same to you. Take it away.
What's happening, guys? This is Jason from Cryptosomniac. We are largely a trading channel, but we do get into a little bit of education and a lot of ranting as well. You can find us over on YouTube, Facebook, all the social medias at Cryptosomniac or at cryptosomniac.com.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to dive right into it. This topic, my topic of choice today, is about the SEC. It charged the Etherdelta founder, which if people watching don't know what Etherdelta is, Etherdelta, it was a decentralized exchange. So you could trade multiple coins, ERC20s, back and forth, using this platform in a decentralized manner, supposedly. But essentially, they went after the founder of Etherdelta for operating an unregistered securities exchange because some of the tokens being exchanged were seen as securities by the SEC, and they continue to operate after the warning, after the DAO. So the SEC did some statements on the DAO way back, and they said that should have been fair warning, but that wasn't the case here. So he got slapped with multiple kind of fines and interest and stuff like that. So it looks like the founder did agree to pay without admitting or denying the SEC's findings, but $300,000 as well as a $13,000 prejudgment interest and another $75,000 penalty. So what I'm asking of you gents is, first of all, was this a decentralized exchange or not? And are the ones out there, are they actually decentralized, or are we just on that road to get there? And then secondly, is there any way to escape the long arm of the SEC as a DEX or a decentralized exchange? Is that such a thing? And if so, like, how would something like that be structured? I'm going to toss it to Kevin here, and then we'll go down to Jason.
Awesome. Yeah, this is a super interesting topic that me and my fellow group of community members were chatting about too. And I think that if you do require KYC AML, kind of like IDEX is doing now, I don't think it's truly decentralized. Also, I was wondering, like, didn't Etherdelta get sold to like some Chinese company?
That's a good question. I'm unsure about that. I know that the founder was technically no longer associated, right, I believe, but they came down on him anyways because he was in power long enough that it would have implicated him.
Yeah, I mean, I think you still can make truly decentralized exchanges. First of all, you got to be anonymous. Like, I think he didn't think there was a problem putting his name out there. It's like, hey, everybody, I'm cool. I'm the founder of Etherdelta. So that was a mistake, but obviously there's no way that he could have known this was going to happen. But just to build decentralized exchanges in the future, I think just be anonymous. Like, obviously you can spin up smart contracts without no one knowing what your identity is, or you could do it publicly, but be in a blockchain, like more blockchain friendly place like Malta. I don't know, like, if they would let that happen, but definitely more friendly than the SEC. So maybe if you're there and anyone in the US can access it, then the SEC can't touch you there anyway. So
they've got a hell of a reach. I'll pass it to Jason. What do you think, man?
So yeah, I agree. I mean, basically anything with KYC is no longer, because if you have KYC, that means you are holding all of that information in one place. If that's being held in one place, that's a point of attack. That's no longer decentralized. The whole advantage of a decentralized exchange is that your money is never kept in one place. And also the other valuable information that you'd have to put forth, which is your identity. You know, I've been the victim of identity theft. I've had my stuff stolen, and trust me, it is not something you ever want to go through. So I'm always very sensitive about having to put how much personal information. Every single one of the exchanges that you trade on, unless it is, you know, operating outside of the bounds of the United States, still wants, I mean, most of the time they at least want your email address and, you know, a password or something. And, you know, people are prone to using the same passwords a lot. So I think with enough sleuthing work, an email address and a password, that could cause you some problems, right? So that being said, I think there are some decentralized exchanges that work, but as you know, I'm a pretty active trader, and they suck, right? I mean, they're good they're basically good for buying at spot. I don't buy at spot. I make market orders, right? You know, because I don't want to pay exchange fees, and also I like to think that, oh, it's cool, even with my, you know, small piece of the pie, I'm a market maker, right? I'm one of the people that's helping to prop up the price of these things. It makes me feel fancy. And you can't, like, you know, while I think decentralized exchanges are fantastic in the future, I think it's basically just a quick way to bridge the gap between atomic swaps for the time being. That being said, how could they operate? I think Kevin hit it right on the nose there, is, you know, build it on something with a privacy protocol, you know, make sure you implement ZK snarks in there and operate outside of the bounds of the United States. There are a number of places that are, I mean, I can't tell you how many people that I am aware of that trade on BitMEX that are American. You're not supposed to be able to do that, right? So there's always ways around I mean, I'm not advocating breaking any laws. I want to go ahead and say that right now. But you know, people do it, and there are ways around it. So I think that's part of the beauty of decentralization, is in a truly decentralized world, nobody gets to say so. The network gets to say so. Everybody gets to say so is a better way to say that.
So in the words of Dr. Ian Malcolm, life finds a way.
That's right. That's exactly right.
It's interesting seeing this. So, I mean, again, to speak to is it decentralized? If you're, first of all, let alone hosting that personal information in a centralized space, if you've been coerced to have to collect that information, it already shows you're not decentralized, because you're having to abide by the laws of a particular municipality or you know, state or whatever. You know, if it was decentralized, it would just run. Now, my understanding is that it's more so what's being cracked down on right now is the front-facing partitions of these networks. So like where you go to access it via the web, as opposed to the actual contracts that are working in the background. Those are still, they work no matter what. It's just, you know, who put up the front-facing site that can then be taken down. So that's one of the things. I look at it kind of like, you know, how do we approach torrents as they were being built, right? Like there was always another proxy site where you could get the torrents. So, you know, then you just have software. So like I look at something like Bisq, and I'm like, maybe they've got something there, because you can get software and just run it, and then you're not relying on a website to actually link in. So I think that might be part of the issue. Again, like you can't start up a decentralized exchange and be like, hey, my name's Ben, I live here, and here's my social security number. You know, like you can't go doing that. So again, like maybe a misstep on the the part of Etherdelta there. And yeah, like it's going to take time to get these kind of things running. And even then, like, I don't know, like atomic swaps I'm excited for, but again, you have to be able to find the person that you're swapping with. Right. So, another solution to it is if everybody just used Bitcoin, and then you don't have to swap tokens.
You got to build protocols on top of Bitcoin to make that
That's true. And even still, then you would have to allocate your Bitcoin to a side chain.
Yeah, that's the thing I don't like about like Lightning Network and things like that. It's the same thing as locking in at a bank account to me, because if I can't just take my money out of my wallet, then somebody else has some say so in my finances.
Yeah, I think as stuff like that gets built, you're going to run into the same problems as things like the DAO, things like what was it, the parity hack? Was it
Oh,
parity?
yeah.
Yeah,
It was.
I think building stuff like that, there's going to be lessons to be learned. My hope is, and my I feel like my hope is totally not gonna come true, but I feel I want to hope that people have kind of learned their lessons from things like that by not allocating hundreds of millions of dollars to untested technology. But clearly that's not the case, and we're going to see many more things like this happen, including with decentralized exchanges as well. So yeah, what's the answer to this? So yes.
While you were saying it, that's literally, that popped in my head. I didn't want to interrupt, but I mean, I think that something to that effect is the answer, because ultimately, especially with like the net neutrality repeal and stuff, if they can start throttling your access to the place you go to access your funds, which is why you shouldn't leave your money on an exchange. But if they can throttle your access or stop your interface, then you've got to be able to go to a place where we can set up a small localized network that we can go ahead and quickly send our transactions to the blockchain, shut it down, and disperse. And
yeah, well, and have you heard of
committing crimes? I'm just trying to say that there's ways to get around control mechanisms that are just there to keep the status quo as it is.
It's surely a technical conversation here. There's no, well, yeah. So, but have you heard of Gotenna, where you can set up it's a plug-in like USB device that looks like a little internet stick, but it's a portable mesh network that you can set up anywhere.
Oh, interesting.
So I'm definitely gonna look into that.
Yeah, Gotenna, Gotenna. So those look awesome. And if a single person on that network can get a regular internet connection as well, they can then, you can relay whatever you want to World
That's
Wide
powerful.
Web.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah, that's huge. Stuff like that. Stuff like when you what was it in Hong Kong a few years back when they were like, yeah, no, we're hands off. China's not going to interfere with this election. Here's who you're allowed to vote for. And then and then there were there were protests in the street, especially like younger, like students and everything like that. They flooded the streets. So then the government, they shut off the internet. Well, guess what? People made mesh networks so they could organize their protests. It was incredible.
I remember reading about that. That was amazing.
Yeah. So people, again, they always find a way around things. So maybe it's a good thing that we're seeing stories like this where these supposedly decentralized exchanges are having to implement KYC and they're getting taken down and fined and all this stuff. Well, maybe that's just a step on the way to nobody being able to mess with it. Maybe this is our Napster moment before torrents exist.
Right. Makes sense.
Well, let's hope it breaks the finance industry the same way Napster did to the music industry.
Yes, exactly. There's an initial slew of lawsuits, and then nobody knows who to sue anymore. Awesome. All right, well, gents, a great conversation. I really enjoyed this. So let's go down the line one more time, let people know where we're at. Of course, BTC Sessions on YouTube, but you can check me out, same handle on Twitter. And Kevin, take it away.
Bitcoin for Beginners on YouTube and bitcoinforbeginners.io. Great to join you guys today.
Awesome. Yeah. And Jason.
Yeah, Jason from Cryptosomniac, and you can find us at cryptosomniac.com, Cryptosomniac, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, we're on all the socials. This was great, man. Thanks for putting this together. This is a fun conversation. I love these panel shows. We've been doing more, so get you guys on our channel as well and continue the fun.
Love it. Kevin, Jason, great having you on, and I'll see you for the next one. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Good. Thanks, guys.